this is decision tree. Now from the decision tree we would have to now draw our decision table. Now what does the decision table entail? Decision table is like a table that helps our information system to know what happens when a combination of these conditions are met. Because the way it is, it's the way it is like this. We need a table. Now here is our decision table. Now decision table, we first of all, let's come to the decision tree. We'll say that the first condition we test is the price of the invoice, whether it is less than 50,000, between 50,000 and 500,000, or greater than 500,000. So the first thing we test, the first condition is to test the amount. So we say invoice amount, invoice amount. We test the invoice amount here. Then the next thing we are testing after the invoice amount, which is under the second condition, is the days, how long the invoice has been sub-issued, or how long the goods have been issued. So here we are testing the age, or the days, or the period. So let's say we are testing age or period, whichever. Let's say age. Okay. Then thirdly, we are testing if we have some sort of discount or not for paying early payment discount. So here we are testing for discount. Very good. Now how do we know how many times we will repeat? How do we fill our table? That is the problem. That's the next challenge. Now how do we fill our table? Now this is how we fill our table. We know that there are three conditions under the category amount. Three possible conditions under the category amount. The three possible conditions are either the invoice is less than 50,000, either it is between this range, or it's greater than 50, or it's greater than 500,000. Sorry. So the category, this category here has three options. So we write 3 somewhere. We possibly use our calculator. We'll say 3. Okay, first 3 conditions. Now the second set of conditions under 50,000 and 500,000, which is under the range between 50,000 and 500,000, is to test the number of days. And how many possible conditions are there? Just 2. Either it's greater than 10 days or less than 10 days. Those are the 2 possible conditions. So we multiply by 2, and then again what happens? We test the third sub condition, or sub condition rather, if there's anything like that. sub condition, which talks about the discount. So now how many possible conditions are there? Just 2. Either we have an early payment discount, or we don't have an early payment discount. So we multiply by 2 again, and that gives us 12. So it means that our table will have 12 possible conditions in all. 12 possible conditions. So that's why we come here. We fill 1, 2, 3, 4. We fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then 10, 11, and 12. That is how we get our 12 possible conditions overall. Now under invoice amount, how do we fill our table? Under invoice amount here, the first thing we are going to do is we are going to know, since there are 3 options under invoice amount, 3 possible conditions, we want to know how many times this will be repeated in our table, how many times this will be repeated in the table, and how many times this will be repeated in the table. That is called the repetition factor. How do we get the repetition factor? We know that from here we have 12 possible conditions. So here we say 12 possible conditions. Let me change the font color for this so that we will not mix it up. 12 possible conditions. In all, we have 12 possible conditions, right? Okay, fine. We have 12 possible conditions. Now these 12 possible conditions firstly are divided into 3 sub conditions: less than 500, between 550 and 500, then greater than, less than 50, sorry, between 50 and 500, then greater than 500. Those are the 3 possible conditions first. So we take this 12 and divide by 3, which gives us 4. So that means that each of these first sub conditions or first conditions will be repeated 4 times each, because 12 divided by this 3 will give us 4. So each one will be repeated 4 times. This will be repeated 4 times, this will be repeated 4 times, and this will be repeated 4 times. So we say less than 50, less than 15, less than 15, less than 15, less than 50. We have repeated that 4 times. So the next one is between 50 and 500, between 50 and 500, between 50 and 500, and between 50 and 500, 4 times. Then the third one is greater than 500, greater than 500, greater than 500, and greater than 500. We just repeated 4 times. I think I should reduce the font here so that we will have before 500, greater than 500. Right. So after that, the next thing is age. Now from here we'll see that since this is 12 possible initial conditions and we have 3 conditions that come out from that, this has been repeated 4 times, this has been repeated 4 times, and this has been repeated 4 times. So we'll just say this 12 will now have 4 possible conditions that will give us produce cash here. We have 4 possible conditions that we will have to further test here, and then we have 4 conditions that will authorize payment here. So here we want to know the repetition factor for less than 10 days and greater than 10 days. Since this 12 has been divided by 3 to give us 4, it means that here we have just 4 possible conditions in all. Just 4 possible conditions. So here, instead of 12, we have 4 possible conditions. 4 possible conditions. Now here we have 4 possible conditions. Okay, so that means these other 2 conditions, initially we said 12 divided by these 3 actual conditions, right? So here we have 4 possible conditions, and those 4 possible conditions will now be divided by these 2 actual conditions that are available. 4 here divided by 2 sub conditions that are available. So 4 divided by 2 gives us 2. So that means this one has 2 already, and then we have 2 here, which is the output of this part, and this output for this part is going to serve as the input for this part. So that means automatically here we have 2. Let me fill that before I go. So here we have 2 and 3 here. We have 2 possible conditions going into here. So here 4 divided by these 2 gives us 2. So our repetition factor for this part is 2. So we'll repeat less than 10 days 2 times, repeat greater than 10 days 2 times. That's our repetition factor. So here we come to the age and say less than 10 days, less than 10 days. We repeat twice, greater than 10 days, greater than 10 days, less than 10 days, less than 10 days, greater than 10 days, greater than 10 days, less than 10 days, less than 10 days, sorry, 10 days, greater than 10 days, and greater than 10 days. Now if you like, you can start with greater than 10 days, you would end with less than 10 days, but I started with less than 10 days, so I'm ending with greater than 10 days, like that. So now discount. How do we get the repetition factor for discount? Here we already know that we have two possible conditions here, and then here we have just two sub conditions that are actually given to us. Either there's an early payment discount or no early payment discount, and it's just two conditions that are possible anyway, because this is the input that's coming, and here we have just two actual conditions or actual sub conditions. So we now take this input factor from here. The input factor was 12, it became 4 here because we divided by 3. Then this 4 is the input factor here to get the repetition factor for these two. So we did 4 divided by 2. So here the input factor here is 2 now, and then to get the repetition factor we divide by these other two conditions that are given to us. So 2 divided by 2 gives us 1. So that means our repetition factor for the third condition is 1. 1 means we repeat. Are we entitled to an early payment discount? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, just 1, 1, 1. So here under discount we say, are we entitled to a discount? Yes, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Repetition factor is 1, so we repeat just once, like that. Then we have failed our table to an extent, but we are not done yet. Now we have done the conditions part. Now what are the actions that will be taken? Actions, we have just 3 actions: authorized payment, authorized payment, authorized payment, the same actions. Then test another time, which is another action, and then produce cash request schedule. So we put those 3 here. We say authorized payment, authorized payment, that's 1. And here set till another time, and then here we'll say produce cash request schedule. These are the 3 actions we have. Now how do we now fill the actions? For here we said that if it is less than 50,000 we authorize payment. It doesn't matter whether it is greater than 10 days or less than 10 days. For this first condition, it doesn't matter. We are not testing any other thing. Once it is less than 50,000 we authorize payment. That's what is here in the decision tree. So we come here. Once it is less than 50,000, we look at the columns. It is less than 50,000. What happens? We authorize payment. Let's use this symbol. So authorize payment. Okay, authorized payment. Now when it is less than 50,000, it doesn't matter what happens, we just want to authorize payment. So we come here, we authorize payment. It's less than 50,000, we authorize another payment here. Less than 50,000, we authorize another payment here. Now between 50 and 500,000, now let's not go complex, let's go to greater than 500,000 because it's simpler. Greater than 500,000, what happens? We produce a cash request schedule. We produce a cash request schedule. We don't bother ourselves with whether it's more than 10 days or less than 10 days or any payment discount, as long as the invoice is greater than 500,000. So we come here, because it is greater than 500,000, we just produce this cash schedule. It's greater than 500,000, we produce another cash schedule. Greater than 500,000 and greater than 500,000. This is greater than 500,000. Greater. So under here, it doesn't matter what all these other 2 conditions hold. It doesn't matter. But here, between 50,000 and 500,000, it matters a lot. So the first condition here is between this range. We now say greater than 10 days authorized payment. So once it is between this range, within this range of 50,000 and 500,000, and it is greater than 10 days, we authorize payment. We don't test for discount. So once it is within this range, this is less than 10 days, this is not what we are doing, looking for. Less than 10 days, no. Greater than 10 days is between this range, it is greater than 10 days. So what do? We authorize payment. Very good. Greater than 10 days, what do? We authorize payment. Then the second one is greater than 10 days, what do? We authorize payment. Now when it is less than 10 days, what do? Then we have to further test, are we entitled to an early payment discount or not. Now it says when it is less than 10 days, when it is within this range, it is less than 10 days, and we are entitled to an early payment discount, then what happens? We authorize payment. So when these three conditions are met, we authorize payment. It is within this range, it is less than 10 days, and we're entitled to a discount, so we authorize payment here. It's that simple. No, no, I don't want that. Here, so we authorize payment. Now, the last one. If it is between, if it is less than 10 days, and there is no early payment discount, because we don't want to pay anybody that is not giving us a discount within 10 days, what do? We test another time. If it is less than 10 days and there is no early payment discount, we test another time. So we come here, it is within this range, it is less than 10 days, but there is no early payment discount, so we test another time. Test another time. Now, instead of using 1, 2, 3 for our actions, we can just come here, name a column, a row action, and then use keys, so that we'll just use only one row instead of using 3 separate rows. Now, our keys, let's take our keys. These are our keys. What do our keys mean? Now, keys means that what actions will be taken, so that we'll use a shorthand notation. Now, these are our keys. We're saying when we authorize payment, A means authorize payment. Authorize payment, comma. S stands for set till another time, comma, and then let's say CR. Yes, CR or CRS. CRS means produce cash request schedule. Okay, I should bring this down. Alright, so these are our keys. So we come here. Here we are authorizing payments, because authorized payment is here. So we say authorized payment. Here we are authorizing payments. We are authorizing payments. We are authorizing payments. We are authorizing payments. Here we are setting till another time. So we say S based on our key here. Then here we are authorizing payments. We are authorizing payments. Then what happens here? Cash request schedule. Oh, this is big. There is no space, so let's use CR. Cash request, cash request, cash request, and cash request. So we are done with our table. Now, from this decision tree, we're able to design our decision table in a simple way. So here we say decision table for one both payable account system, but let's just use one both manufacturing, because we are talking about their payable account system. They could have other systems in place, but this is specifically for the payable account system, something like that. So we have done our decision table for one book. So from our decision tree, we can get our decision table, And that's all. We're done. We're done. So I hope we met our objectives. We, I believe you have been able to understand conditions and actions. You now are able to know how to draw a decision tree, and now you know how to draw decision table using your decision tree. That's just we that's what we just did. um Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I wish you all the best. All right, enjoy yourself. Bye.